from the podcast, Grant's Rants Hollywood Talk. It's Grant's Rants Small Talk. Real Housewives of New York City Rundown.
Let the ranting begin. Thank you for joining me for another Real Housewives of New York City Rundown. Today it's Season 12, Episode 14. Remember your Bluestone manners. Staying up late to recap the show with us is Mary Payne Gilbert. She's the guest co-host of every week over on Pink Shade with Erin Martin and a co-host on the Hey Bunky podcast. Welcome back to Grant's Rants.
Grant, I'm so happy to talk to you. And when you asked me to do this, of course, I said, yes. Oh, my gosh, I'll definitely be ready to do it at 10:15 in the morning. And then you said, it'll be 10:15 at night. I said, okay, just because it's you. And because
Thank
it's you.
you.
Here I am, wide awake, ready to talk.
That's the thing with these current events. You know, it's like you're an hour late, you missed the boat. You know, so it's like there's always so much pressure to get this stuff done and up and posted and promoted and you know, it's a lot. But you're the perfect person for this. Similar to Erin, I mean, you guys just live and breathe these shows. We celebrate them together, the good, the bad, and the in-between. And, this season, I think people are struggling. However, I'm not. I'm enjoying it. I'm here for it. You know, what are your overall impressions so far?
Oh, my gosh, I'm not struggling at all. I totally love it. And I even feel like if New York is not the greatest, it's still the greatest. I mean, it's so good. I mean, we got tonight's episode, we got prime Dorinda rage slurring. We got Luann a little bit tipsy. We haven't seen that in a while. Still seemingly the most sober person there. And then we had Leah not throwing anything, but showing her butt a lot. We had Melinda, Dorinda's sister, we always love to see. We had Elise, who I guess we now know is going to turn into Erica. And, of course, we had Sonia, who wore the same turtleneck throughout the episode and seemingly never sobered up even for 10 minutes.
At least there was time for a bath. At least she'd finally wash the hair.
And then I think she put the same outfit back on. She, it's interesting, you know, during COVID, how Sonia went away. She does this every year, I think, after filming. She goes somewhere in Florida and goes to like a juicing retreat. And that's where she was during coronavirus. I don't even know if she's back in New York City, but she looks great in her confessional. So that juicing, I don't know how many months she has to juice out what happens during the season, but she looks great in those confessionals.
I just wonder how she pays for all of it, because that cannot be cheap. I would love to do something like that, just to anything for an escape. But I mean, the price tag on something like that, who's paying for it? So
Question.
I don't know. It looks like she's back in the townhouse, which is another problem. But I'm sure we'll get the update at the reunion. So not that I'm rushing this season along. Like I know they're going to tape it or whatever, and we're going to have to look at the Zoom. And I have not watched a Zoom reunion yet, but I'll have to adjust. So, but I'm enjoying it. I don't want it to end just yet. So please.
Oh no.
Keep going.
I heard Elise on some podcast saying that that Ramona still to this day doesn't talk to her, and she really doesn't know why. And that also, you know, she hinted that coming up in the Berkshires, we were going to see her crazy side, which I guess is what was alluded to this evening. And I think the reason Ramona doesn't talk to Elise anymore is because she's mad because she got her on the show, and then she's not following her around like a puppy. You know, Elise is like having her own voice, and people think she's boring. I'm kind of digging her.
Well, over the last week, I feel like it's been interesting to watch the Twitterverse and memes, and like people are really finding an appreciation for Elise. And even I changed my tune through the course of the last episode. So I think there's a place for Elise on this show.
Yeah. And what did you think about when Dorinda just went after Luann, and once again she brings out, you got a mugshot. I'm like, Dorinda, there but for the grace of God, go you.
Yeah.
You need to zip it with that.
Yeah.
And I can't believe Luann cried.
And the Giovanni whole thing, she'll never let that go. Ever. She even said on Watch What Happens Live, like, oh no, I'm taking that to the grave. Like, I mean, get over it. It's so ugly. I think the women are onto something when they say, like, that she doesn't realize, she doesn't understand her behavior, I think is what Ramona said. I mean, she really gets out of control. I wonder how she views it watching these scenes back, because we've all, I feel like, have our moments, but it's another to like relive it and watch it back. So I wonder how she's feeling today about it. Of course, publicly, she'll probably own it. And she was, I watched up and stuff. I saw a few minutes of it. She was like, yeah, I haven't been that nice. But personally, I mean, she has to realize she looks horrible. Her behavior is terrible.
I know, and especially because I don't know if it was last season or the season before where, she told Bethany on the plane, basically like, I don't really like John that much. It's just sort of like a placeholder, and I drink too much and I miss Richard. And, and then you were like, oh, okay, this is sort of like her breakthrough moment. But no, it hasn't happened.
I wonder if we'll see. I wonder if we'll get there, because she's had a lot of seasons now to watch this behavior and look back at it. But I guess it's not going anywhere.
The way she treated Tinsley at that vineyard was horrible.
Yeah, terrible.
Oh, it was terrible. And I'm not like a Tinsley huge fan, but after that, I was like, oh my gosh, now I guess I'm a Tinsley fan. And Leah, I think has been like, she came in hot and she stayed hot, but like Elise is sort of a slow burn.
Yeah.
But Leah like came in at a 10 and she's remaining at a 10, if not shooting up to 11 or 12. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lou, though, isn't on her best behavior either at the start of this episode, going back and forth about this friggin' cabaret, completely slamming Sonia's cabralesque, which I just find so entertaining and strange.
Yes.
There's value to it. I don't know what it is, but there is value to her burlesque. And to be completely slammed, I think, is terrible. Luann did get nasty. She talked about how she's so big, the show is so professional. And this is what I said last week. She said it herself. It's about her. It's not about Sonia. And I said she doesn't want to share that spotlight. She's never going to give the satisfaction to Sonia that there's an audience for her. It's all about Lou.
Yeah, and she kept saying, like, you could go show your tits and ass somewhere else and all this. And I was like, all right, you got a lot of press and a lot of, publicity when she did do that at that show, one of those first little small shows in New York.
She thought it was great. Yeah, Lou celebrated it. She thought it was hilarious. So, how quickly she turns.
I will say one of the funniest things, and like I told you, my only note would be all these women act like college freshmen, because when Ramona is sitting in Sonia's lap and they're like all over each other, and Leah runs in like in a full panic, like, you have to come with me. This is horrible. This is a tragedy. You have to come with me. And Ramona's like, oh my gosh, this could have been a script from, the dorm at Ole Miss where I went freshman year, and one girl getting drunk be like, you got to come help me with the other friend. You stop it. And they're all like falling all over each other. I mean, these women, most of them, I am 51, and most of them are older than me, except for Leah, who reminded us tonight she's young and vibrant.
Yes.
But I mean, they act, it's so entertaining. And and God, Grant, last week when Sonia was at that table, and every time that, Dorinda would say, you treat Sonia horribly. She's like, you treat me horribly.
Yeah.
I mean, and Sonia would just double down holding that crab. She's like, you are mean to me. Look at me. You're a pin doll. I was like, how can they sustain this week after week without getting like IV infusions to help them keep going? Like, I could never. Two nights in a row.
I've said this on the rundown. I have no idea how these women are able to get up in the morning, make eggs, eat a full breakfast. They come down full hair and makeup. Like, I will never understand it. Never.
Me either. I would be like, I'll be in bed. You guys wake me up like 6 o'clock for dinner, and I'll see if I can rally. But I doubt it. I'm going to be in bed all day. And so my daughter, who's 17, loves to watch the show with me. Probably not great parenting, but she thinks it's hilarious. And so
I encourage it.
What not to do, right? So when Sonia went at the dining table, when she stood up and went to sit down, and I could see it happening, she was going to sit between the chairs and not get on the chair, fall flat on her back in that same turtleneck like she always does. And right when she fell, I said, well, it's not an evening until Sonia falls down. And at the same moment, Ramona goes, well, it's not a party till Sonia falls down. I was like, you guys, this is not funny. This is tragic.
Mary Payne, you know this show too well. Yeah, but it's right. You're right. I mean, I wanted to point out that when she fell, I can't figure out all these scatter rugs in this newly revised Bluestone Manor. They're there in this formal dining room. There's a zebra print rug on the floor that doesn't match the design of the green and white chairs that have been there forever. There's just too much. I'm all for modernizing, but I can't say I like the new look. It's too majestic of a house to have animal print like that.
I love the Missoni on the staircase, and somebody posted, I think in Pink Shade with Erin Martin, I believe is where it was. They posted that the house was written up in, Berkshire's Monthly. I don't know. It was a Berkshire's magazine, but there's a lot of very fancy rich people up there. So of course the magazine's very fancy, and it was all focused on when the house flooded and how she had it redone with one of the original architects in the firm that originally did the house. She's trying to really take it back to the eclectic, way that it was, which it is very eclectic. But I agree with you. Like if you're going to do all that and get that zebra rug in the dining room, you need to change that chair fabric.
Yeah. Oh, it
that
clashed terribly.
It doesn't go. And I get it. It's supposed to be eclectic like that, but gosh, it's a lot. In her confessional look, like she's in something crazy print, and in the background is like 6 crazy prints. And I'm like, God, my eyes are like crossed.
Yeah, I just think that house is too majestic to have animal print in it.
Okay.
I'm just looking at it and I'm like, there's just so much you could do to really play up how regal it is, and it's like a classic design, and I don't know, I can't stand it, and I don't even mind a good print, but that stood out to me. I'm my interior design eye was not happy.
How did you feel about seeing Holla Heather Thompson show up tonight?
Oh, underwhelmed. I mean, did they even bother to mic her? I mean, what did she say? Anything? I wasn't involved. No, I wasn't involved with her very much.
I didn't see her, but when she came on, I said to my daughter, "Oh, she's a former housewife. She has that yummy tummy, which is like a offshoot of Spanx. It's a fake Spanx." And I said, she used to work for P. Diddy. And then my daughter's like, "What else?" And I go, "That's it." I don't know. I don't know. Because last night when we watched Beverly Hills, of course, there were so many housewives that came back. And I was telling my daughter, she used to be a housewife. She used to be a housewife. Look, here comes some more. She was most impressed with Kris Jenner, of course. But I was like, this is the week for bringing back the old timers to see, because last week we had Jill's Erin.
Yeah, they never show her enough love on the show. It drives me crazy.
I love Jill.
Now, what I love about the show is how quickly they forgive. They very, very quickly, just collectively, almost without even maybe they spoke before it, but it just seemed like we're just going to blame it on the rosé and move on. Again, Dorinda has no idea how she really behaves, and that's it. Now, they pointed out that Dorinda went to Richard's grave the day before. We saw a clip of that. Now, is that supposed to be, an excuse for her behavior? I mean, is that triggering? I'm glad they showed it. I would have liked to have seen the actual scene itself, because it's actually Dorinda's life. But I'm just always about trying to see more of their lives, other than just seeing fights. But this show is pretty good about this. This show's pretty good about highlighting what's going on. It's not all dinners and lunches, even though sometimes it feels like it. But
yeah. I listen, you're always going to get a good 2 to 3 episodes out of the Berkshires. And, we had Leah bringing home the bartender from the night before. We had these 2 young guys that showed up with no explanation, just Dorinda's friends. I'm like, who are these guys that are in their 30s that are Dorinda's friends? We get no explanation at all of who they are. The one guy was talking to Ramona, and she said in the most cringeworthy, "We're the 1%. And the guy goes, "I'm not 1%. She goes, "No, me and her," pointing to her and Dorinda. She goes, "We're the 1%. We need guys that have money." And then she starts saying guys will lose their erection if they don't have enough money. And, because she has, you don't know any people there, have 2 homes and da-da-da-da. I was like, oh, do you hear yourself when you talk?
I know.
That is awful. Oh, yeah, so cringy.
And you may be part of the 1%, and may be intimidating to some, but you sound like an idiot, and that's going to be intimidating to everybody else. Not intimidating, you're just going to look bad.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah, no, she's just tactless. So tactless, that one. Yes. Yeah, no, that was gross. Yeah, even the guy that she was talking to, well, I'm not going to touch that. I don't blame him. I what do you even say to that? It's just so ignorant.
Well, I was like, okay, is she talking to him about this? Because they seem to be in a detailed conversation about digital dating or whatever. And that's why she was like, any man I would want to
I've
date
never
would be
even
too
heard
rich to da
digital
da da da.
dating.
Yeah, whatever. And I was like, is he like, okay, so maybe he's the founder of Tinder or something. Like, let's find out why they're talking about this. Who are these two guys that showed up? But I guess there's so much going on with like, Elise and Leah are going to go in the corner and make out before the bartender comes up. I mean,
15 minutes.
like there's so much going on that they don't even have time to say who these two randoms are. And Colin Cowie is like a huge known person, an entity, like a star. And he was sort of brushed by. And then Sonja's like, you're the only good looking bisexual here. We're going to be fighting for you. He was like, darling, like get away from me.
Yeah. Is he bisexual or is she just wishful thinking?
That was wishful thinking.
Yeah. I don't know him, but I'm just guessing. I don't know. But Frenchie's still around in Sonja's world. In case if anyone was keeping tabs on that relationship that's going to go absolutely nowhere. She's around. Leah apparently urinated on a prince. What is this about?
I didn't understand. I was like, okay, you mean like golden shower, like he asked you to, or it was an accident? I just like, do I need more details?
I think he asked.
No.
I think he asked.
Yeah. And then Luann's like, oh, I've dated some princes, but never that. I was like, is this where we're going with this conversation? This is crazy. And of course I'm like, what prince? Was it Prince Albert? Like which prince was it? Was it Prince Andrew? You might not be young enough for him. Like, who is it?
Of course, Luann had to read the dating resume that she was with princes in the past.
Of course. She's a countess. She's a countess, darling.
Yes.
A countess. Now, let me ask you this, because you and I saw the Countess Luann show together in L.A., and then Erin and I saw it subsequently again in Wisconsin. So we've seen it twice, same exact show, 2 times, same exact people. Everything exactly the same. So she is coming out with this new show that, of course, won't be for a while, and if we're still under quarantine. But would you be interested in her F, Marry, Kill show?
Absolutely not. I actually saw the show twice. I saw it when it first started, the very first origin show of what it was, and it was not good then. And then it stepped up. I mean, she added this whole reel of her best moments on the show, which
that was great.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, that was not the only addition, and adding and subtracting some stray talent she had in between. But when I saw the show originally, she was on stage for maybe a maximum of 15 to 20 minutes. So at least the second iteration, she was around a lot more, if you can believe that.
Yeah, I felt like she wasn't on stage at all.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I really don't want to see. I really don't want to see drunk Sonja on stage, taking her clothes off and trying to remember her lines and stuff, because I feel like maybe Sonja can't hold it together in that kind of environment to not be sloppy drunk and like literally taking her clothes off instead of just kind of flashing. I think that, I don't know. I think it would make me very uncomfortable to see it in real life.
I don't know. I think I don't know how I'd feel about it. I'm not going to see it, so it's like a non-option for me anyway.
Yes, okay.
I'm good. Like I'm so done with the cabaret. I say this every week on this rundown. I'm just so over the cabaret. I'm motivated. I'm not interested to see what the next iteration is going to be. They alluded to it tonight. Ramona said she makes a ton of money doing it. I bet she does. I bet she makes money hand over fist with that show, because it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, and I bet she does. And I will say that I think that she took the note that last season it was too much, over the top, nonstop. And I understand, it was new and she was proud of it, but it was too much and she was too braggy and she was an asshole about it. So I am glad that really this is only maybe the second time, and she went all in, but it was the first time we've really heard her kind of double down and talk about it. And then she really explained to us what a star she was, and how the funniest thing ever though was when Ramona was at the table telling Dorinda and Elise, Sonja was the first person to ever have a cabaret show, and it was good. And all of a sudden it's like, whoop, Luann comes in like a character out of The Matrix, like she swung in from the ceiling and jumped on that table. It's like, what are you saying? Or, I can hear you. Ramona goes, fine, it's fine. You can hear me, it's fine. But Ramona's face is like, oh shit.
Yeah,
shit. That was amazing editing too. I don't know but that was great. I loved it. Like, go Lou. And that's when I could tell she seemed a little drunk, whereas we haven't seen that in a long time, but she was And then she said the next day I was a little overserved myself, you know?
I literally wrote Battle of the Drunks because like this you go all these rooms in that house. I never know what room I'm in because they're so eclectic. I there's no like anchor for me to be like, oh, this is the billiard room or this is the I don't know. There's all this stuff, so I never know. But they would go from one space to the next, and so who was sitting on a couch drunk in that room, and who's arguing in this room, and then they're in the kitchen. And it was there was so much going on, but I just love it. The show, they bounce back. They're all out shopping the next day. Like, thank God, because I can't live where like with like that Beverly Hills bullshit going back and forth. We need to talk about it. We haven't talked about it enough. Well, I think we need to really have another conversation about it. And this is stuff from 6 weeks ago. These women, six minutes pass and they're right on to the next thing. So
yeah, totally. So they've never been more insulted. They've never been more insulted in their entire lives. I mean, if anybody said any one thing that these women say to each other in a weekend to me, I would never, I would put myself into an institution and cry. Like there would be no way I could make it through the night. And they're just like, well, that was terrible. I'm going to cry and go to a hotel and then you'll invite me back tomorrow and I'll blame it on the rosé. I'm like, what? It is nuts. It's nuts.
I love that Dorinda had to look cool when, Leah wanted to bring the bartender in because she knows that Leah had all the trouble inviting her sister to Newport. So she was like, oh yeah, sure. That's no problem. I would have been kind of like, I mean, that's her private house. You know what I mean? Like, I would have been like, well, who is this guy? How well do you know him? I mean, you know, come on. There's enough people here. Do we need to have this too? But she wanted to look cool. So
yes,
the guy came. He seemed chill. I mean, I don't think there's anything that special, but, you know, she had to read her resume too. Big deal.
She was like, I used to work there. And then my grandmother was buried here. And then my uncle was married in this church. And then we built this house. And the guy's like, oh my God, I'm just trying to like get with this young hot chick.
Exactly.
She also was wearing the same skirt for like 3 days. It's like, what was up with that long pleated beige skirt? She was wearing it for every occasion. When she came in on the second night and she had on a different top, they're like, well, that top is better.
Oh my God. I love that you picked up on that. I actually did not pick up on the skirt.
Because it was really not cute. So it really struck me. She could wear anything. She could wear a paper bag. She's a beautiful woman with a great figure. She could wear anything. She had on this like Laura Ingalls Wilder, like long prairie skirt. Yeah. Really weird.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't love the big long skirts. What else happened in this episode? We get another confession of Elise talking about how her alter ego Erica would like to make out with Leah, and I was like, okay, we're good with the alter ego. We got it. Like this is continuing. Like I just thought like Elise eventually would just like fade into the wallpaper, literally at some point, like because there's just so much going on. But I guess we had to go back to her for whatever reason.
I want to tell you that. I have had many crazy fun drunken nights with my friends, you know, while I was a freshman in college and continuing into, you know, the age of 50. Never once ever have I ever made out with my friend, nor have I ever just all of a sudden been like, I want to feel your boobs and just stuck my hand on my friend's boob. I mean, these women are always in a constant state of feeling each other up or humping or wrapped in a pretzel around each other. I mean,
they've all been naked around each other. What is left to see and feel? You know,
I don't know. I don't know.
They've seen each other naked so many times. They were just in the Hamptons pool a few weeks prior. I don't know what's left.
I can't wait till this whatever happens next week. And I think I saw some stuff online about this party that got out of control. I guess this is going to be that Ramona's birthday party that she tried to act like she wasn't getting for free by taking them out there to get that Instagram picture, which is so funny when Dorinda goes, just be honest. You took us out there for our Instagram followers because we're on a show to get it for free. I mean, be honest. And she was like, no, paying for it myself. No. We're like, come on. And I love that Dorinda just flat out called her out on it. I loved that. And then, so I guess that's going to be the party where they all act crazy. And Leah's like, looks like she's humping Elise or an ice sculpture or something. I couldn't tell. And that's it. You see Ramona going, where's the producers? Take the cameras down. I was like,
so you're like just marching on a glass tray or something like,
oh, bad.
I mean, like, so, like out of control. I wrote down, I just said madness. Like I couldn't think of another adjective to attach just to what I had witnessed in that quick 20 seconds. I was like, this is just pure madness.
That's why the show is so good. It's why it's so good. Yeah.
They go from one storm to the next storm. It's like there's nothing in between. Nothing. other than
no
just
calm.
like, no.
Final thoughts.
Let's get into our final thoughts. My final thought was a good Berkshire's excursion once again. There were tears, there were laughter, there was a lot of alcohol. But I just want to say, Leah is almost to the top of my list of all-time faves. This week she posted on Instagram about Free Britney. She's also like this friggin' Lil' Kim fan that I love. Like, the more I learn about Leah and her personal life, the more I like her. I'm just all about Leah right now, and I didn't think I would. I usually, don't take to these women so quickly, but there's something about Leah I'm here for, and I hope she hangs out for a long time.
I like her too. Did you see that Instagram post this week that was Elise talking and Leah runs into the background?
I did.
Says Ramona poops while she has sex and then runs out of the frame.
I did.
What? First of all, why are they in an apartment together? They shouldn't be doing that. They should be quarantining.
Sure.
Second of all, like, what? I'm sure that's like a made up thing. And then Ramona has to write like, 10 paragraphs under it. This is not true. This is slander. This is Mean Girls. I was like, just don't even give it any attention. Ramona. Oh my gosh.
I know.
I know. I like Leah. I like Leah. And one of my favorite parts so far of the whole season has been when her sister came around, who looks like, a mirror image of her, but in black.
Yes.
And how they were like, I don't like her sister. Her sister's scary. Yeah. And they flash over to her sister just glaring at them. Like, just, yeah, I like her too. I think I wonder a lot if Tinsley did this on purpose, right? Like, I know I'm leaving, but let me bring in somebody young and new. I wonder if it was all sort of by design, or if Tinsley really did just halfway through the season say like, I'm just not going to do this anymore. My love life is more important to me and I'm leaving.
Yeah, I was always under the impression that Leah was brought in through Bethany. That was how they were going to intro her. And then the last second, they had to have her come to the party, and they did the boxing scenes of Tinsley. So that's what I thought this was. I thought it was like a convenient placement. But they do seem like legit friends, Tinsley and Leah. So
yeah,
I like the both of them. I'm still happy for Tinsley, and I hope we can see her at the reunion.
I do too. I'm happy for her too. People are like, I don't like Tinsley. I mean, how can you not?
What's not to like about her?
What's not to like?
She's not the most polarizing housewife with the most amount of gifts and meme-worthy moments, but it doesn't mean that she was a lousy casting decision. So no, I'm all for her, and I'm happy for her, but I do kind of miss her on the show. But like, good for her.
I loved her. I always think about her, crying in the Berkshires and talking about her and her first husband and anal, and then Dorinda like, no, it's just not right. That's not right.
Well, Mary Payne, I'm glad that you're not hung up on the Bethany factor like that. The show will never be good if Bethany isn't here. Like, I'm glad that you can also appreciate it for what it is.
Listen, do I wish Bethany was there? Yes. But do I miss her? Not really. These ladies are able to hold it on their own. They don't need Bethany, just like, as Beverly Hills did not need Lisa Vanderpump. They're doing just fine.
Yep. Well, Beverly Hills is always questionable in my book.
Yes, I know.
But
I know
that has nothing to do with Lisa Vanderpump now. But I get exactly what you're saying, and I'm dying to see this stupid birthday party next week. I can't wait. And then they're gonna go on a trip again. I mean, these women, they're never in New York, but whatever. I'm still entertained. I'm not gonna complain. We need this show now more than ever. So
I know, drag it out. Like, give us some bonus scenes. Give us some cutting room floor. Like, we'll take it all. We're desperate.
Yeah. I'll even go and watch them comments. They had some Real Housewives of Beverly Hills commentary thing with Garcelle and Dorit, which was like so boring. Why do we have to watch it again? Never mind once. But I would like to see some commentary around New York, because that
would be good.
Yeah. But we're at our time. But Mary Payne, this was actually a lot of fun, and I came into this with a headache, and I'm feeling good.
Oh.
I'm feeling good.
Feel better. Like I told you got to find some Excedrin. That'll knock it right out.
Yeah. But no, this is like a little bit of a release and a relief. So
yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on. I love you for recapping with me.
Of course. Anytime you want to talk about shows, I'm your girl, especially New York. I haven't gotten to talk to anybody about it all season, so this has been like a thrill. I'm just like sitting here at my desk, like, yes, somebody asked me some questions about New York. I'm so excited.
Perfect. Oh, great. All right, kids. My thanks to Mary Payne. Thank you for listening, and keep it here for more Real Housewives of New York City rundown.
This has been Grant's Rant Small Talk. Real Housewives of New York City Rundown. Want more? Join the full conversation on Grant's Rant Hollywood Talk podcast.